This person said that their gut issues started after their son decided to move in with their dad. I'm assuming that they're separated. When we get shocking news like this, it's like a bolt of lightning to our brain. And depending on how the subconscious wants to process this, it's going to put a particular organ into overdrive. Now, if it's the small intestine, it's going to be up here. And if it's the colon, and it's going to be here. And it depends on how she subconsciously perceives the situation. It could be, I want to hold on. I want to hold on to my son, but I can't. My ex-husband's a piece of crap, and I want to get rid of him, but I can't. It depends. It's if he's a piece of crap and I want to get rid of him, it's probably the colon. If it's somebody I want to absorb but I can't, it's probably the small intestine. And then if she's sadful and fearful about it, then she's probably going to get constipated. She wants to hold on to her son, but she can't. And now I'm not saying all traumatic events cause gut disease. We don't know what's the straw that's going to break the camel's back and throw one of these organs into overdrive. So what do you do once you have identified that original conflict? It was the son moving in with the father. Now, what was the climax of that event, of that conflict? What was the climax of the movie? What was the shocking event? Was it, your son giving you that information? Hey, mom, I got something bad to tell you. And he tells you. So during that shocking moment, your mind is in a very fragile state. And it starts to pick up. This is where the PTSD triggers start to pick up. Think about a war veteran. They're very sensitive to loud sounds because during that time they got into a firefight, there was a lot of loud sounds. So now the brain is more sensitive to loud sounds in order to help you survive. So he might have delivered this through a text message. So maybe every time you get a text message from your son, symptoms intensify. Maybe every time there's a conflict between you and your son, or you and the father, the symptoms intensify. And a lot of the times you don't have to, come to peace and be a Zen Buddhist, with this whole situation. A lot of the times it's just consciously being aware that this is what's putting my gut in and out of order. That a lot of the times cuts the symptoms in half by 50%. And then we got to find these subconscious PTSD triggers. He told me through a text, and it makes sense. Every time I get a text message from my son, he messages me a few times a week, and every time he texts me, I get raging diarrhea. And sometimes, oh, yeah. Just making that conscious connection can sometimes break that link. I wish I knew the science behind this more, but there's a lot of modalities that actually, support these claims, but that's what's really going on. Now, I help people weed out all these PTSD triggers with my 13-day protocol. I have a free webinar that's a mini version of this. It's on my bio link. If you are new or you haven't done so yet, go watch that webinar. It's everything that I wish somebody would have told me when I first started getting gut issues. It would have turned my 10-year healing, it was so miserable being on those diets. This morning I went out for a walk. I got a cold brew, which is on the no-no list. I put milk in it, which is on the no-no list. I had gluten on the no-no list. I literally would not be able to eat anything here in Europe if I was still following these crazy holistic diets. I eat whatever I want without any consequences. Your symptoms are linked to a traumatic event. And a lot of us who go into the holistic community, we turn food into a villain, and then it will eventually give us symptoms depending on how worked up we are about it. My food intolerance just went away, pop, just like that, when I started learning the basics of GNM, which is kind of what I was showing you with the brain CT scans. But I go over this in much more detail in my free webinar. I show you pictures and I show you case studies, and I take you through my story on how I got better.